my first update on how I'm going to be using my planners and journals for November in the hopes of creating a habit of consistency for 2024. And today I wanted to talk about how I've been using my weekly vertical as a memory keeper and how my plans for an A6 Hobonichi Techo has changed. First, let's look at my weekly vertical and let's do a review of last week. So for last week, it was my first foray into using this as a memory keeper. I previously used this as a time tracker when I was a student, when I was still a high school student. I got inspired to use this as a memory keeper from people who use their Traveler's Weekly inserts as a memory keeper on Instagram and stuff. One thing that I really liked about their spreads was that their columns were filled in. So for the first day, I kind of tried to emulate that, but I feel like I obviously failed. And I think part of that failure was because I set this expectation on myself to actually imitate those spreads that I've been seeing online, and that didn't work out because this isn't even the same planner as the Traveler's Weekly, and the layouts and the spacing are all not the layout's quite similar, but the spacing's like different. So once I kind of reevaluated how I wanted to use this for myself and how it should not be an imitation of other people's and how that would just not work for me, I started doing this. And so first up here, I kind of scribbled on these columns because I wouldn't be using them anyways because it's from 5 to 9 a.m. in the morning. And so I just scribbled them in up to where I woke up each morning. Then after that, I kind of time blocked in a way, time logged rather, but I didn't do it so kind of obsessively as I did before. Still kind of obsessive though, I think, because I was logging things like breakfast, lunch, dinner, which sometimes isn't relevant to my memory of that day because they're pretty insignificant things. And then as you can see here, I tried to fill out these little blocks that I created. Not really much change over the course of the week after this day, but then I kind of drew lines here instead of using these kind of square bracket things because I thought that looked a lot neater. And that followed into this week. I really like how I've been using it this week because, like I said, over here I really tried to fill in these little boxes, but here I stopped logging every single thing and I kind of just gave a short summary, maybe a 10-word sentence or maybe 20 words at most. Another thing is that there are these blank spaces here, and you can see them here too, but then these were more just because I forgot what time it was and when I did something. And here it was me kind of making a conscious effort to not be so obsessive about time logging, because that's not what I want to put into this journal. I want to memory keep, not time log. And time logging is kind of exhausting because I'd constantly have to check and remember what time it was when I started an activity, and I'd feel bad if I didn't remember what time it was, or if I forgot to check. So I've erased stuff like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I've left out things that were insignificant. Another thing about this spread in particular, like in terms of decoration, is that I added these tiny little stickers everywhere, and I really like the way I did that because I feel like it brightens up the space, especially compared to this spread where it was like kind of empty, as well as like these older ones. And I really like the way I've been using it this week, and I will probably continue. One thing about the Take a Note weekly vertical is that it goes from vertical to grid kind of like a little, like one page after the halfway of the book. So the number of like weekly columns that I have will last me until maybe March of 2024. And following this, like once it ends, I will probably either draw out the columns by myself, or I will write what I did that day in dot point form, so removing the time aspect of it. And that's how I want to use that's how I've been using my weekly vertical. And now for how my A6 plans have changed. So previously I've said that I want to use this as kind of a random journal, like disregarding the dates of the blank pages that I have. And my reasoning for that was because I have a pretty large chunk in the middle of the year where I did not use this planner. And that's fine, I don't mind blank pages, but I mind them a little bit more when it's like such a big period of time, you know? So that is still going to happen, except to kind of like be more specific on my intentions for this planner. I'm gonna have this as a stay-at-home common planner. And the difference between having a stay-at-home common planner and having a random journal for me is that originally I was going to journal about my day in those undated pages, whereas now as a stay-at-home common planner, it'll just be on my desk, and usually the things that I write about in it would be like lists and stuff and like reference material, so not necessarily about my day or not necessarily daily journaling. And this is because the more I kind of wanted an A6 Hobonichi for next year, because I felt like the dated pages really held me accountable and I'd be like more motivated to fill them in with dates. And I also just really enjoyed having this journal, and I really like to have this experience for next year as well. Not that I can't with a 2023 journal, but I feel like I really want to try the Japanese layout, and I was actually thinking of kind of switching out. So for my day-to-day planning for 2024, I have a Muji weekly horizontal, and that's a layout that I'm really familiar with. But originally I got this planner, I got this Hobonichi as a planner instead of a journal, and I found it quite hard to keep up with because it lacked the structure that I needed in a planner. And that like demotivated me from using it until I like realized that I could use it as a daily journal instead. And after looking at like people's YouTube videos and stuff, I'm kind of curious whether I'd be comfortable with planning in a Japanese format. So I will probably get that version of the Hobonichi for next year in the A6 size as well, because I think the cousin will be too big for me and I don't really write that much. Like I won't be able to write so much to fill an A5 page. So I'm excited for that. If you're curious, the cover that, because I repurposed the cover that I previously had this in for my Muji Weekly, the cover that I'm having my eye on is I think it's the Twinkling Shells or Twinkling Stars by, I think her name is Hiroko Kubota. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that cover is really adorable because of all the illustrations on it and the inside, like behind the pockets. Behind the pockets of the cover also has like the little seashell like illustration. So I think that's like a really nice touch. Thank you for watching. I'd love to know what your 2024 lineup is looking like. Thank you for the warm reception you guys gave me on my first video. I don't know how frequent these updates will be, but hopefully, like, I'm aiming to, like, I'm gonna aim to have them like once a week or something. I hope you enjoyed my talk, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!